Hi, I am Paloma Iniesta, and in this video I will talk about the evolution of attention to diversity, how the laws affect diversity in the education, and some of the measures that can be useful for our current situation, the COVID-19. Anyway, you will see it in detail, so let's start. First of all, I will talk about some history of attention to diversity. For several centuries, in the Middle Ages, from the 11th century to the 16th century, people who suffered any type of disability were considered abnormal or even possessed by the devil, being common the witchcraft or the bonfires. All this happened because the church was the greatest power at that time, in addition to having the power of the Inquisition. Therefore, the people who suffered any type of disability were rejected and sent to orphanages where they were not provided with any specific type of care. Likewise, in the 16th century, the psychiatric naturalism enters where the authority of any dogma or doctrine was invalidated. Thus, between the 16th and the 18th century was developed the first educational experiences carried out by private projects aimed at the deaf and blind people, leaving other deficiencies such as the mental ones without paying attention, until the end of the 18th century, where people began to show a little more interest about the care and treatment of the isolated people. In this way, the stage of institutionalization was born, and with it, the special education. At this stage, despite the fact that at the beginning the attitudes of marginalization continued to be firm, progressively the people were more aware of taking care of the people with disabilities. This happens because the deficiency begins to be considered as a disease. This stage was very outstanding since the first institution created to the handicapped emerged, and with them the special education with special centers such as the ONCE. From then on, the visibility of the disabled people began to be claimed. In this last stage, the same rights are beginning to be claimed for all the people, demanding normalization and integration. In addition, special education classrooms are established in ordinary centers, and it is created the principle in which everyone has the right to be normal, so they must be socially integrated. With this integration, tickets are abandoned, it is used a new terminology, and the classrooms are characterized by heterogeneity. Now, regarding how the laws have affected the attention to diversity, it is obvious that our laws have been improving during the years, and with them, the attention to diversity in order to get a better adaptation for those students with difficulties. The first law is the LG, in which the integration is highlighted due to the fact that it is proposed for the first time the creation of special education classrooms in ordinary centers. Is supposed a great progress, and it could be supported by the LISMI, where the principles of normalization as well as the integration and individualized attention were established for those people with some handicap. Thus, in 1985, with the law, the integration of the NES students became a reality in some centers. It will be in 1990 with the LOCSE, when the possibility of the NES students to get those objectives proposed to the rest of the students was contemplated, teaching them according to their needs and not to their limitations. With the LOPEC, the schooling in the public centers for NES students with physical, mental or sensory disabilities was guaranteed. In 2006, with the LOE, there was a great advance towards the inclusive education, since the three concepts that it defended were equity, quality and inclusion. Last, we have the LONCE, which defended an inclusive integrator and quality system that guaranteed the equal opportunities, enabling the maximum development of students' potentialities. Thus, to conclude with this part, I think that the measures that have been taken are the correct ones in terms of improving the quality of life, as well as the education for those students with specific educational needs. But I consider that we have to keep working on it. We are almost in the end of the video, and before the conclusions, I would like to mention some measures of attention to diversity that I consider very useful in the current situation that we are living. The government of the region of Murcia has proposed a series of programs related to communication and language, emotional education and creativity, and physiotherapy. Therefore, following the instructions of the ministry facing the impact of the coronavirus, it should be noticed three suggestions. The first one is related to the continuation of the functions of pedagogical therapist, AL, sign language, and physiotherapist teachers. This is important since those students who need these resources can continue to advance in the learning process in such a way that their teaching is not truncated by this difficult situation. In addition, for those students who need a physiotherapist, there have been created some programs to stimulate their psychomotricity at home, something quite effective for students to continue advancing according to their capacities. Another suggestion would be the periodic work related to the emotional competencies of the students to avoid the anxiety that confinement may cause them. In this way, some techniques will be developed to manage the stress and relaxation, especially for those students with autism. This aspect is very important since this situation can seriously affect us psychologically because it is a totally new experience for us and it is normal that we need help to manage with our feelings and emotions, so those students who need it will be treated to cope with this state of nerves and uncertainty. Finally, other fundamental measure could be the development of compensatory actions aimed at the students who present unfavorable situations that suppose a disadvantage or an initial educational inequality. For this method, the Ministry has created a program called Teleeduca, which consists of delivering formative material at home for those students who don't have access to an online training. I think it is one of the most important measures since it guarantees the equality for all the students as well as being inclusive in order to develop their potential despite this terrible situation. To conclude, I think that while I was making this video, I have been aware of the great evolutionary change of the laws regarding the diversity as well as the little importance that is still given to it nowadays. As I have mentioned before, there are many measures that favor pleasingly the correct development of the population, even in the situation as complex as the one that we are currently living. If I had to highlight something about this subject, it could be the wide variety of diversity that exists, because in society, diversity is only considered to be those people with mental retardation or motor problems, being this totally wrong. So I consider that everybody should study it and be aware of it in order to have a better world in the future. Finally, regarding my mark, I think that I have done my best in all the activities as well as in the fulfillment of this video. So I consider that my mark would be around 8.5. And that's the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed and have a nice day. See you!